Okay, let's unpack this. Imagine your workplace, right? A place you know like the back of your hand.
Yeah, it's totally familiar.
And then suddenly, boom, it's a maze. Corridors lead nowhere. Your office is on a different floor somehow.
While you're still in it.
Exactly. That's pretty much what the crew of Voyager faced in Twisted. The spatial distortion just completely warped the ship.
It's such a creepy starting point, isn't it? Taking something so known, the ship itself, and making it alien.
Definitely.
And, looking through the sources for this deep dive, the reviews, fan comments, and production notes, it's clear this episode really sparked a lot of reactions. Intrigue, sure, but also quite a bit of frustration for some people.
Right.
So our mission today is kind of navigate through all that, figure out what the episode was trying to do, how people took it, and what it might suggest about deep space stuff, even with its quirks.
Absolutely. So if you've seen Twisted and maybe scratched your head a bit thinking, wait, what just happened?
Which, let's be honest, is a common reaction.
Yeah. Or if you're just curious why it's one of those episodes fans kind of talk about, well, you're in the right place. We're going to try and cut through the spatial anomalies here.
And focus on the key bits, the debates, the ideas behind it all.
Okay, so the chaos hits fast. Right away, things are just wrong.
Oh, yeah. No slow burn here. You hear about B'Elanna Torres leaving engineering and somehow ending up in crew quarters. Makes no sense.
And Neelix, just talking 1 minute, rounds a corner, and poof, gone.
Vanished. It immediately tells you, okay, the rules are out the window. The ship itself is unreliable now.
And you see the crew trying to, figure it out, like Ensign Kim suggesting they draw a map.
Bless him. Such a logical Starfleet thing to do.
But totally useless here, right? Chakotay's reaction, just that look of disbelief.
Yeah.
And it really sells how messed up things are.
Totally. And it also brings out these different approaches, doesn't it? You've got Tuvok, Mr. Logic.
Always. We will proceed by making only right turns.
Exactly. Trying to impose order on chaos. And then Chakotay, who's much more about instinct, feeling his way through.
That classic dynamic, Starfleet versus Maquis, kind of.
Yeah, playing out in this bizarre, shifting maze. And some fans spotted that funny little moment where Tuvok seems to come back from the wrong direction after going off.
Oh, really? Like a little production doof?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Or maybe just showing how confusing it all was, even to film.
Right. But then, amidst all this physical confusion, they tried to explore some character stuff, too. Which got, mixed reactions.
Yeah, that's putting it mildly for some aspects, like the tension between Chakotay and Tuvok flaring up again.
About command, and Tuvok being the spy back in the Maquis days.
Right. It felt a bit sudden to some people, didn't it? Like, where did this come from right now?
Yeah, almost like the writers thought, okay, intense situation, let's throw in some old conflict.
Well, you could argue the stress brought it out, forced it to the surface. Maybe that was the idea.
Maybe.
But yeah, looking back at their relationship, then it did feel a little, I don't know, inorganic to just drop it in like that for some viewers.
And then there's the whole Neelix thing. The jealousy.
Oh, boy. Okay, so Paris gives Kes a birthday present.
The locket. Costing supposedly 2 weeks of rations, which sounds like a lot.
It does, compared to Neelix's homemade cake, which was, sweet, but...
less shiny.
Exactly. And Neelix just loses it. Gets really possessive.
And the reactions to that were all over the place. Some people found it relatable, like, okay, he's insecure, scared of losing her.
Especially in this crazy situation.
Right. But others were like, whoa, this is not okay. Irritating at best, maybe even kind of controlling, especially when he starts grilling Kays about being in other guys' quarters.
It definitely raises questions. Is it vulnerability or is it crossing a line into something unhealthy?
And the show doesn't really give you an answer, does it?
No, it just sort of happens. And that ambiguity, it fueled a lot of fan debate about relationships on the show.
But maybe the weirdest character moment, the one everyone remembers, is Janeway.
Oh, definitely. Talking to the anomaly.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah.
And saying, what was it?
Is Dogen Dubitu Canteen? Just like complete gibberish.
Which they later tried to say meant, it's talking to me, do nothing.
Yeah, which felt like a total retcon to a lot of people. It just didn't land that way at all.
No, but thinking about it.
Yeah.
What if that's the point? What if the communication is that alien, that incomprehensible?
So her garbled speech is actually showing how impossible it is to translate.
Maybe. It kind of forces you to question how we even think about first contact, It's not always going to be neat and tidy.
That's fair. And even with all the weirdness, there were those little human moments that kind of worked.
Right, like Paris and Kim admitting they're scared.
Yeah. Or the doctor comforting Keyes, which was surprisingly gentle for him back then.
And that tiny thing with Tuvok, just moving his hand a bit closer to Janeway's shoulder when things looked bad.
Yeah. like an almost involuntary gesture of support. Those little moments, they felt real.
They did. They were like little anchors. Someone online, Rob from Michigan, I think, pointed out they were maybe the only real emotional connection points in an episode that felt kind of cold otherwise.
Yeah, keeps you grounded when the ship itself isn't. Okay, so after all this twisting, turning weirdness, the answer's just stop.
Basically, yeah, Tuvok's logic leads them there. Our efforts are making it worse. Let's just stop resisting.
Which is not the usual Star Trek way, right? Normally they'd find a technical solution.
Exactly, fight to the last microsecond. So this do-nothing approach was controversial.
I bet.
Yeah, some people really liked it, found it unconventional, appreciated the sense of helplessness, the idea that sometimes inaction is the logical path.
Okay, like an acceptance of the unknown.
Sort of.
Yeah.
But then a whole lot of other people just found it unsatisfying, anticlimactic, like lazy writing almost.
We wrote ourselves into a corner, let's just have them stop.
That was the feeling for some, yeah. And the explanation that came later, it was just an alien trying first contact, swapping data.
Uploading its library while copying Voyagers.
Right. It felt a bit thin, underdeveloped. Didn't quite justify the chaos for everyone.
And then you find out it was actually a bottle show.
Exactly. Held over from season 1 because they needed to save money.
Ah, okay. That explains the focus on existing sets, the sort of contained feel.
It likely does. And maybe explain some of the negative reviews it got. Critics often found it illogical, kind of slow, even pointless.
They picked apart the inconsistencies, right? Like how corridors bend, but rooms stay intact but move.
Yeah, the physics, or lack thereof. And the fact that there wasn't really a clear threat or well-defined alien, just...
weirdness. Led to debates like, was this supposed to be funny? Dark comedy? Or just not great?
Exactly. And then you had the return of those minor background characters.
Oh, yeah. Sandrine from the Holodeck program, Gaunt Gary, Baxter. Yeah.
Always talking about his workout routine.
He seemed to annoy quite a few viewers, didn't he?
He really did. It's funny how a minor character just meant to be background noise can become such a focal point of irritation for some.
Shows how every little detail matters, I guess.
It really does. It impacts the whole experience.
And that massive data transfer, the alien copies Voyager's entire database.
Huge deal, right? Think of the implications. What did it learn? What did Voyager get?
And nothing. It just never comes up again.
Ever. Which is super frustrating if you care about continuity. It felt like this massive plot point just dropped.
Yeah, classic episodic TV problem sometimes. Sets up something cool and moves on next week.
Leaving you hanging. So yeah, lots of loose ends.
So we're left with these big questions, really. What was that entity? What did it actually want?
Was doing nothing genuinely the right call, the smart move, or just lucky?
And the data swap. What was the point? Why show us that if it leads nowhere?
These are exactly the things fans still chew over. You see theories trying to make sense of it, trying to connect the dots the episode didn't.
So the ambiguity, maybe not intentional, kind of keeps it alive in discussion.
I think so. It leaves room for imagination, even if the episode itself felt a bit lacking in answers.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. We dove into Twisted, looked at that bizarre spatial warping that turned Voyager inside out.
Right, the maze effect. And the really mixed reactions to that do-nothing solution. Some found it bold, others found it a total letdown.
We touched on the criticisms, the logic gaps, the pacing issues, the fact it was a budget-saving bottle show.
And those lingering questions about the alien, the data exchange, everything that was left unresolved.
So as a final thought, Twisted, for all its, problems, it really does throw you into the deep end of encountering something truly fundamentally alien.
What happens when first contact isn't about language barriers, but about reality itself seeming to break down?
Exactly. And maybe it wasn't perfectly executed, this episode, but it gives you this glimpse of how confusing, how disorienting encountering intelligence that operates on totally different principles might actually be.
Yeah. It makes you wonder, what does connection even mean when the basic rules you rely on just get twisted?